Can you still remember the thrill of plastering your bedroom walls with vibrant posters of your favorite bands, each one promising a world you could escape into? The smell of fresh ink, the glossy paper that curled at the edges, and the rebellious feeling of creating a personal shrine to rock gods and disco divas. These simple pleasures were the heartbeats of our youth. In the 1970s, band posters weren't just decorations, they were loud declarations of identity. A well-placed Led Zeppelin or Bee Gees poster wasn't just about the music, it was about belonging, about marking your territory in a world bursting with sound and change. The swirling colors, wild fonts, and larger-than-life faces seemed to pulse with the rhythms that defined an era. Could one image capture a song, or even an entire summer frozen in time? For many, these posters were silent witnesses to late night, listening sessions, secret dreams, and the evolution of taste. As we look back at these iconic works of bedroom art, consider what those posters meant in your own life. Were they just paper, or something much more? Let's journey back to a world where every wall was a canvas and every poster had a story to tell. Step back to the dawn of the 1970s, a time when American bedrooms and college dorms transformed into dazzling mosaics of color and sound. Long before online streaming or digital playlists, band posters were one of the few ways for fans to bring their musical heroes home. The story of the 70s band poster doesn't start in isolation. It's born from both cultural upheaval and the creative explosion that marked the late 1960s. The counterculture movement had opened the doors to new forms of self-expression. Suddenly, posters were no longer limited to political rallies or movies. Music entered center stage. Psychedelic swirls, hand-drawn typography, and striking photography began speaking directly to the hearts of the young. The Summer of Love in '67 wasn't a distant memory. Its visual echoes lingered as the new decade opened. By 1970, the United States was humming with energy and tension. The Vietnam War raged on, protests enveloped college campuses, civil rights movements demanded to be heard, and pop culture responded with bold abandon. Into this cauldron, concert promoters and budding artists realized something powerful. Posters weren't just advertisements for shows, they were artifacts in their own right, mementos to be saved, admired, and cherished. Early on, famous West Coast venues like San Francisco's Fillmore and the Avalon Ballroom began setting a new standard for musical artwork. Their posters, often created by now legendary names like Wes Wilson and Stanley Mouse, combined fonts that twisted and danced with illustrations nearly as wild as the acts being promoted. The ripples from these innovators traveled east, where New York's CBGBs, Boston's clubs, and Chicago's blues joints began cultivating scenes of their own, each with a visual style as distinct as the music within their walls. But it wasn't just the venues. Walk into any record store in 1972 and you'd find more than albums on display. Posters lined the walls, enticing buyers to take home a piece of the dream. Did you ever thumb through those racks searching for that one image that seemed to say, "What, this is me"? Many did. Posters were often bundled with albums, an extra treat hidden inside the sleeve, or sold for $1 or $2 at the counter. They even arrived as inserts in music magazines, folded neatly and ready for the first thumbtack. The idea that you could not only listen to your favorite band, but see them whenever you glanced up from your homework or drifted off to sleep was a kind of magic. You might not believe this, but Billboard magazine once reported that in 1975 alone, over 10 million band posters were sold in the United States. That's roughly one poster for every 20 people. Imagine the collective gallery that would make. Oddly enough, the companies behind many of these iconic images weren't the record labels themselves. Poster art was often commissioned by local entrepreneurs, art students, and small collectives. This led to a wild diversity in style from the high-gloss imagery offered by corporations like Personality Posters to underground, hand-silk-screened prints making their way from local shops to distant cities. Some posters became rarities overnight. The Sex Pistols' infamous God Save the Queen poster, banned in the UK for its challenge to social order, became a hot commodity stateside, smuggled over by passionate fans. Have you ever owned a band poster that felt somehow dangerous or just a little forbidden? But how did these artifacts truly evolve as the decade got underway? Early in the 70s, posters bore the last vestiges of the 60s psychedelic flourish. Think prismatic colors, undulating graphics, and fantastical figures. But by mid-decade, as new genres like glam, punk, and disco took hold, their visual language changed. Out went paisleys and dayglow, in came sharp contrasts, glitter, photographic realism, and edgier designs. The rise of the Skitsui photographic poster, think the iconic, nearly life-sized image of Farrah Fawcett, yes, not a band, but just as ubiquitous, coincided with a similar shift in music posters, putting the faces of stars front and center. Suddenly, David Bowie's vibrant Ziggy Stardust persona or the piercing stare of Stevie Nicks could dominate a whole wall with a single sheet. Here's a surprising fact. The size of posters even began to standardize in the 70s. Before then, you might find an 8x10 concert flyer right next to a sprawling, nearly door-sized print. But as mass-market printing improved and the demand for uniformity in retail displays grew, the standard one-sheet size, usually around 24 x 36 inches, became the norm. This made it much easier both to buy and display these snapshots of musical history. Did you ever struggle to squeeze an awkward-sized poster between your closet door and bookshelf? Or did you measure your space before carefully tacking up your favorite? It wasn't just about advertising or decoration. There was an unmistakable sense of community in the act of collecting, trading, and displaying these images. Friends swapped posters after shows. Thumbtacks and sticky tape became the tools of social connection, and more than one parent, or landlord, tossed up their hands at the ever-growing collage. Some school hallways even became unofficial galleries, students competing to outdo each other with rare or particularly sought-after prints. Sometimes collecting a band's posters was almost as important as collecting their records. Do you remember the first band poster you hung up? Did it feel like a rite of passage, a way of proclaiming, "This is who I am and this music is mine"? For many, that first poster marked the beginning of a lifelong love affair with music and memories alike. And while band posters are easy to find online today, nothing replaces the ritual of unrolling a new print, smoothing out the corners, and deciding exactly where it belonged. But as the 70s wore on and music itself spun off into new and unexpected directions, so too did the world of poster art. If you thought the designs were daring at the decade's start, just wait until you see how technology and artistry collided in the years that followed. Ready to see how printing breakthroughs, visionary artists, and risky ideas helped the band poster become even bolder? The next part of our journey takes us into the heart of 1970s creativity, where every color, every shimmer, and every face on the wall told a story of innovation and imagination. Let's keep exploring. As we bring our journey through the world of 1970s band posters to a close, it's clear that these vivid pieces of paper were far more than mere decorations. They were a lifeline to the music, a badge of who we were, and a reflection of the times we lived in. We've remembered how trends shifted from psychedelic artwork inspired by the counterculture movement to the eye-catching, glittering faces of glam, the powerful statements of punk, and the slick gloss of disco. Posters mirrored not just musical trends, but also our changing sense of identity, freedom, and creativity. Whether pulled from an album's sleeve, purchased at the local record shop, or traded with a friend after a concert, each poster captured a moment of energy, excitement, and personal expression. They marked the milestones of our adolescence, from that first favorite band to summer road trips spent singing along with the radio to nights staring up at the wall, lost in dreams of joining the crowd at a legendary show. But beyond the colors and the iconic faces, these posters taught us something deeper about ourselves and the world. In a time before the internet, before music lived at our fingertips, we curated our own sanctuaries. Our bedrooms and dens became private galleries, echoing with the sounds and aspirations of an entire generation. That act of choosing a poster, carefully smoothing it on the wall, arranging it just so, was an act of self-definition. It was how we told the world, "This is who I am." It was how we formed friendships, sparked conversations, and stored our memories in places we could see every day. Even now, seeing those posters brings back the rush of youth, the anticipation of a new album, the thrill of a concert, the joy of belonging to something bigger than ourselves. Perhaps most special of all, these posters have become time capsules, traveling with us through the decades, faithfully holding the spirit of a golden age in music, art, and growing up. Looking back, it's worth asking, which band poster defined your space, your spirit, or your generation? Was it the bold stare of Bowie as Ziggy Stardust, the shimmer of an ABBA portrait, or a crowd scene at a Grateful Dead show that captured your imagination? And what was it about those images that made your heart race just a little faster? We'd love to hear what memories your favorite band posters stir up. Share your stories in the comments below. Maybe there's a legendary poster you held on to, or a band that's forever linked in your mind to the art that graced your walls. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, so you'll never miss another stroll down memory lane. If you have friends who shared those music-filled days and poster-covered rooms, send this video their way so they can join in too. And stay tuned for future episodes, where we'll keep celebrating the pop culture treasures that shaped our lives. Because, in the end, every poster is more than just paper and ink. It's a window back to a younger, wilder us, when music wasn't just something we listened to, but something we lived. Here's to the band posters of the 70s, and to the memories they keep alive every time we close our eyes and remember.